Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the world. My name is Zach Jones, although probably a few of you know that by now. Today I'm going to do a PowerPoint on 9 big cats of the world. And when I say big cats, I don't mean your household cats. I mean wild ones like lions, tigers, and leopards, etc., etc. Now, I'm going to start with probably the most famous and also my favourite among them, the African lion. The African lion, as many of you probably know from its name, is found in Africa, to be precise, on the savannas of sub-Saharan Africa, and it is the only cat to live in a large group called prides. Um, these usually consist of 7 adult males, 8 to 10 females, and the young. But there is always one dominant male. And of course, how you tell the males apart from the females, who are known as lionesses, is the males are bigger, bulkier, and of course they have that characteristic mane of hair behind the head. But also, the African lion can weigh about 3 times my body weight and has canine teeth as long as my thumb and a bite force of just over 600 pounds. And they can even take on massive prey. Of course, their main prey are things like zebra, wildebeest, antelope, and even buffalo. But lions are opportunistic and they will take anything that's available. In fact, they have there's no other animal in the world that I know of that has a greater range in prey size than lions. I mean, they'll take anything from an insect right up to an elephant. It's just the most phenomenal amount of power. And of course, lions have on occasion become man-eaters. I mean, they kill more than 50 people each year in Africa, and so they are confirmed man-eaters. But that is a very rare occasion. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, lions live in large groups called prides, and this is they're more than just a family unit. They are a coordinated hunting group, and of course, while the lionesses do about 90% of the hunting, the males will help out whenever they can, but people often have this image that the male lions are lazy and that it's the females that do all the work, when that is an incredibly sexist view, especially with the leader of the pride. I mean, he has probably the most difficult life. I mean, he's got to keep order within the pride, he's got to protect them, and also fight off other males and pass off his genes to the next generation. And a lot of the time, when there's a male who is the leader of a pride, quite often you can see how difficult his life is, because the tips of his canines have been chipped away from a hard life, and he's covered in scars and scabs from fighting with other males. And of course, when I said about lions hunting together, I mean, when they work together, they are way more successful than many of the other big cats that hunt on their own. And of course, and how they kill their prey is quite often they just grab a hold of it and tackle it to the floor with their massive front legs, and then they go for the throat, and they will bite at the throat to try and suffocate it. And quite often, when lions have made a kill, the whole pride come in to feed, and they need the equivalent of 20 steaks a day. And in fact, one lion can eat about 110 pounds of meat for the single sitting, so that's almost half my body weight in one go, which is absolutely incredible. And of course, if they kill something as big as like buffalo, a zebra, or even on occasion an elephant, that could last them for over a week. And of course, lions of course, they've been said like to be the king of the savannah, but of course their main enemy, apart from us humans, well, their only natural enemy is spotted hyenas and Cape buffalo. Buffalo are the most dangerous prey lions regularly take down. I mean, they're big, they're stocky, they've got thick hide, and of course lethal horns that could snap a lion's spine if they could. But the spotted hyena is by far the biggest enemy of African lions. I mean, not only because they will quite often kill the youngsters if they get the chance, but also because spotted hyenas are the only animals that have been known to be able to drive lions away from their prey. And that's all down to strength in numbers, but also that spotted hyenas have probably the most powerful bite of any mammal. And so, to put that in perspective, if I was to get bitten on the arm by a spotted hyena, it would probably crush my arm to pulp. It's that powerful. Of course, the African lion. The lion has always been associated with courage and bravery and valour, from like Richard the Lionheart, the King of England who led the Crusades and the War of France, to the story of the Lion King, but also the
Sorry, Zach.
but also the Hogwarts founder Godric Gryffindor having a lion as his house's sigil is just proof that the lion has been shown as a mark of courage and bravery, but also, and this is one for you historians, lions were also used in the Colosseum in the Roman Empire. But I'll get to that a bit later. Of course, there's also a variant of the white lion that is only found in South Africa, and that is this, the white lion. Now, the white lion is not albino. It's all down to a genetic gene inside in their DNA, which makes them lack the pigment that gives them colour. And of course, because of that, the white lion is one of the rarest of all creatures. In fact, they are said to be the white king of the beasts, and they were first recorded in the wilds of Africa by Europeans in 1926, and because for many generations before that, the white lion has had many superstitions about it, like that it's a messenger of God, or that they bring joy and prosperity. Because if any of you have ever read the Michael Morpurgo book, The Butterfly Lion, you'll know that he actually had a white lion in that book, which I would recommend that book to you, but it is like a lot of Morpurgo's books, it is quite a tearjerker. Anyway, unfortunately, the white lion, because of its rarity and the superstitions about it, was almost driven to extinction in the 1990s when they were hunted for their fur because it's so beautiful, but also for their cubs to be sold to circuses, disreputable zoos, or even to a rich man's private collection. Of course, you can still see white lions in the wild, but there is one specific place in South Africa that is near the Kruger National Park where white lions are taken so they can be protected, because they are still targeted to this day. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, lions were used in the Roman Colosseum for all the Romans to pit them against Christians, gladiators, and even prisoners. But around the 1800s to the late 1950s, lions were also used in circuses, but that has since been banned, and of course, well, these days, if you want to see an African lion, one of the best places is to go to either the West Midlands National Safari Park or Longleat Safari Park, but that's in England. But if you want to see a lion in the wild, you go to Africa. Because lions, unfortunately, are in trouble all over Africa, and of course they aren't endangered, but they have been persecuted enough to be considered a vulnerable species. And the main reasons for that, are habitat loss, where a lot of their homes are taken, are destroyed to make way for plantations, towns, or even farmland. But also there's poaching, like poaching for their fur, or even for their cubs to be sold through the pet trade. But the worst for me is the fact that humans, like farmers and ranchers, will shoot lions illegally, either shoot them, poison them, or trap them because of them preying on livestock. And while that is illegal, people still do that. And because if you're ever caught harming lions without a license or permit, then, or in other words, illegally, you will be facing a very long time in jail. And of course, so while lions are being persecuted in much of Africa, they are protected, and to this day they still remain one of the true icons of the planet. This is the lions of Africa, their historic range and their present range, because right here is where the Asiatic lion is only found, but I'll get to them later. And the next cat I'm going to show you is by far the fastest land animal, the cheetah. The cheetah is quite small for a big cat. I mean, but that's mainly down to the fact that it relies on speed. I mean, it is the fastest land mammal around, full stop. And of course, they live on the savannas of sub-Saharan Africa, and they even can live in the Kalahari Desert. Of course, as I mentioned before, cheetahs are small for a big cat. I mean, male can probably grow to be 94 centimetres at the shoulder and probably weigh a little less than me. But of course, their skeleton is actually very lightweight for a cat. Of course, they also have loose hip and shoulder joints and a very flexible spine, and of course that helps them with their speed. And unlike other big cats that retract their claws into the pads of their feet, on a cheetah they're always descended. Of course, cheetahs prey mainly on antelope like gazelle and impala, but they can quite often, in fact, they can sometimes take wildebeest calves. And of course, their secret weapon, as you've probably guessed, is speed. In fact, cheetahs have been clocked going from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3 seconds. So they outpace a sports car, and of course they can reach about 70 to 71 miles per hour in a flat-out chase. But there is a price to pay for that. I mean, they can only keep up the speed for a couple hundred metres or so before their body overheats and they have to stop. And because cheetahs, like many big cats, are solitary for much of their lives.